Okay, so the article we're reading is about gravitation, and it's written by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who, if a scientist could be as famous as a rock star, that's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, he's got his own podcast. He's the director of the Hayden Planetarium. He was on Big Bang Theory a bunch of times. He's like one of their heroes. Okay, he's a pretty funny yet also intelligent guy. Okay, who has done a lot of research in the area of physics and just does a good job of communicating what he knows, which is like volumes and volumes, but communicating that to people who are not at the same level of understanding that he is. He has a really kind of impressive way of explaining things so that everyone can understand them. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you guys read through his article here on the points of Lagrange. Okay. Points of Lagrange are basically just special gravitational places where gravity essentially kind of cancels, and you can sit something and it won't move. Okay, gravity can't pull it in any other directions. Everything just kind of balances out at these points. Okay, so what we're doing here is basically just getting the hang of how to read a scientific article. All right, because that's something you're going to have to do. You go to university and you start having to do research projects and things like that. You have to go in and you've got to find other people's research papers on the topic that you're researching. Okay, like you guys know, when you did your research project, you probably found that some of them had references that were like 3 pages long. Okay, 3 pages of references. That's all the other papers on that topic those people read in order to make their paper. All right, so being able to read a scientific paper is an important skill. Okay, and it's something that Mr. Dickey and myself really struggled with when we were in university. We would read the same paper like 10 times before we kind of got everything we needed from it, because we didn't really know how to approach reading a scientific paper, right? It wasn't that we couldn't read, obviously we could read, okay? But we didn't know how to approach reading it so that we could get what we needed the first or second time through, okay? Like I was a highlighter, okay? Like I would read something through and I would highlight, and then I would notice that basically the whole thing was highlighted. And so I read it a second time and highlight in a different color. It was just brutal. By the time there's just like, it was like Rainbow Bright threw up all over the paper by the time I got done. Okay, so obviously it wasn't a good use of my time. I wasn't making effective use of my time. So some strategies that you can kind of use when you're reading a scientific article is, first off, know what it is, know what the subject area you're going to be asked to answer about is before you start. All right, so in this case, you've got 4 questions that you need to answer. Would it be a good idea to read those questions and maybe write down a list of key words to look for in the article? Okay, so that's probably something that we'd want to do. These are our 4 questions. Okay, there's one question here that talks about Apollo 8 and the orbital dynamics of the Earth-Moon system. So I should probably be on the lookout for anything that talks about the Apollo program. Okay, within the article. I know I should stop there and start looking more carefully at that section, because it's probably going to have something to do with this question. All right, there's something in here about the gravitron. Okay, the ride that we've talked about a few times, right? So if I get to a paragraph that's talking about that, I should probably slow down and make sure I make a couple of notes about that one. Okay, and then the third one, it's here, it says, in your own words, explain what Lagrange points are and how they occur and how they could serve as stepping stones to the colonization and exploration of space. All right, so there's probably somewhere in there where it talks about that, so I want to be on the lookout for that topic. Okay, and then there's in here a discovery of the Jovian Trojans. Those are asteroids that actually kind of follow Jupiter in its orbit. And they're actually a collection of space junk that Jupiter has thankfully corralled and is holding in its orbit and preventing them from coming and hitting us. Okay? Jupiter is very much like having a big brother on the schoolyard who takes care of bullies for you. Okay? It actually deflects and catches a lot of the really nasty asteroids that could otherwise get to the inner solar system and hit us. Okay, so Jupiter is good for that because it's big and it's got lots of gravity. All right, so I should probably be on the lookout for anything in there, okay, about the Jovian Trojans and the possible benefits, which I just kind of spoiled for you. Okay, there. All right, so those are the topics we want to be looking for as we go through, okay, this article on the 5 points of Lagrange. All right, so as you're going through the 5 points of Lagrange, you can actually I don't know if it'll let you do it on here, but okay, you might want to just make a couple of notes, okay, on a piece of paper, okay, so that you can have them there for when you start answering the questions. Right? That's what we're working on today. Okay, basically at the end of class, I want this just submitted to me.